Rob, what is our first main topic today?
John, our first main topic comes to us from Jeff Singer. Yesterday came the news that Peter Dinklage, Jeff Goldblum, and Lena Headey all filmed scenes for Thor Love and Thunder that ultimately didn't make it in the final cut of the film. While it's not uncommon for an actor to not make it into the final cut of a film, i.e. Sienna Miller in Black Mass, I can't remember the last time 3 actors ultimately had their scenes not make it into a film. What are your thoughts on this story?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Jeff. And yes, so Thor Love and Thunder, it's coming out in theaters next weekend. I watched it, had a very good time with it. I'm not sure I think it's as good as Thor Ragnarok, but I was very entertained by it, even though it does lean more into the silly comedy, but it did make me laugh a lot. Anyway, we found out that there were going to be a couple of cameos and an appearance. So Jeff Goldblum and Peter Dinklage, they already exist in Thor's universe, right? So hearing that they were going to have cameos, not a big surprise. We haven't seen the gauntlet forging dwarf in a long time.
Right.
We haven't seen Goldblum in a bit either as the Grandmaster. So that was fine. The interesting name was Lena Headey, Game of Thrones stars Lena Headey, that she had a role. But here's the thing about her. Her role wasn't a cameo, and it wasn't small. Here's the interesting thing. This all comes out as a result of there being a lawsuit right now that some former representation for Lena Headey is suing her for money that they say she owes them because they're supposed to get a small cut of money she earns from projects. This comes to us from the folks at Variety. They write the following. Game of Thrones star Lena Headey is being sued for $1.5 million by her former UK agency, Troika, over unpaid commission fees relating to a number of projects, including the upcoming film Thor Love and Thunder. Troika, which rebranded as YMU in 2020, claims that Headey owes the agency at least $500,000, equivalent to 7% of her fee for her earnings on the Marvel movie. Variety can confirm that Headey does not appear in the final cut of Thor Love and Thunder, which stars Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman. The film is set for release next week. Okay. So while some people, and I get this, are looking at the story and going, wow, Lena Headey was going to be in Thor. That's a story. It is.
Yeah.
But you're glossing over the real story here. If Troika, her former agency, is saying she owes them 7% of her fee, and that's $500,000, that means if you do some rough math, she got paid $7 million minimum. $7 million to be in Thor Love and Thunder, a movie that she doesn't even appear in now. That if the lawsuit has some merit, and they're saying she owes them $500,000, that means she got paid $7 million. So, number one, this wasn't a cameo.
No, not for that.
No.
Not for that amount of money.
That doesn't mean she was going to be like the third main star of the movie or anything like that, but this was more than a quick cameo. I mean, you can't even put Robert Downey Jr. in for a quick 2-minute cameo and give him $7 million like that. So how big this role must have been is crazy. And the fact that Marvel has so much money that they can spend $7 million or something, don't use it. I mean, I hate spicy food. But if I find out I accidentally spent $2 on extra chili peppers, I'm like, well, I spent the $2. Might as well use it. Never mind $7 million.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. Now, look, would it have been fun to have Peter Dinklage have a quick cameo or Jeff Goldblum? Yeah, but the movie, without giving anything away, the movie's already filled with a lot of that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So that's fine. But this $7 million for a role that you ultimately cut, to me, is crazy. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, Stamps.com. Now, guys, as a small business owner myself, I'm always looking for ways to save costs, yes, but I know that our most valuable resource is time, and I'm always looking for things that can save us time. Stamps.com saves you both. Because when you're running a small business, every second counts. You can't afford to waste a single moment. So why are you still taking time out of your day to go to the post office when you could be using Stamps.com instead? Stamps.com makes mailing and shipping quick, easy, and cost-effective. How cost-effective? Well, you can get discounts that you can't find anywhere else, like up to 30% off USPS rates and 86% off UPS. And there's no special hardware technology you need. All you need is your regular computer and printer, no special supplies or equipment required. So guys, stop wasting time and start saving money when you use Stamps.com to mail and ship. Sign up with the promo code CAMPEA for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts needed. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the page, and enter the code CAMPEA. Anyway, Rob, you hear this story. Number one, what kind of role do you think Lena Headey could have been playing? And number two, is this unusual to have somebody that made that much money be ultimately cut from a film entirely? What do you think?
Well, first I was going to ask you, because having not seen the movie, is there a character you think, like, where would she fit into the movie? Now, the only thing that I could by the way, having not seen the movie, what if she played Gore the God Butcher's wife, the mother of his child? I mean, I haven't seen the movie. I don't want you to spoil anything, but I don't know what she would play. And I would have to see the movie because I can't even speculate, having not seen the film. But that was the first thing that comes to my mind, you know, that maybe it would be. And again, I don't know if there are Gore flashbacks that we see his life. I don't know. I know that he has different looks throughout the film. But to your second question, no one gets paid $7 million and then they get entirely cut out. I can only think, and if they did, that's a painful thing to do to anyone. Lena Headey is a great actress.
I love her. Love her.
Love her. She has a great connection, obviously, not just because of Game of Thrones, but of a lot of the other work that she's done. She's been in a lot of genre material. She's a fan favorite. She always brings her A game.
By the way, as Mama in Judge Dredd, just Dredd with Carl Urban.
Oh,
she was awesome in that.
So good. I mean, she's so good. So it leads me to believe, here's the thing. Take away the money that they pay people. When you're putting together a movie like this, sometimes you get to a point where you realize this movie runs a lean less than 2 hours, even with credits, as you guys were pointing out yesterday. I could see this movie being 2:15, 2:20, and whatever that running time had her character in it, whoever she may have been. And they just realized on the page, and people might think this is ridiculous, but sometimes you just don't know. Until you've put a movie together, you're looking at it, you watch it, and you realize, you know what? This character that read so well on the page, we thought, of course, you couldn't even imagine taking them out of the film. When you see the movie, you realize that it's redundant or the plot, you don't need it. And it's something that you can't even, I know it might seem crazy to people, but you don't even understand until you've seen the movie all together and you realize this movie has this great pace, and the one time it lulls, you know, it goes into it's because of this story, and you realize, do we need it? And if we were to cut it out, would anybody even know it was missing? So I would ask you, did you feel that there was something in the movie, there was a quality of this film that was missing?
No, and I remember yesterday, like Chris Gore, who was on the show with us yesterday, he was at the same screening of it I was, and we both kind of said that we both felt like the runtime of this movie was perfect.
Yeah, you both said that.
Like it had great pace and all that kind of stuff. And I love the fact that Taika Waititi is the type of director who he is not married to the footage he shoots. Unlike a great director, a great director who does get a little overly married to the footage he shoots. Is an example like Peter Jackson. Like just go back and watch King Kong, right? Like that movie is like 40 minutes too long. That easily you could have cut a lot of that out. But he's like, he brought in Lena Headey. By the way, the agency, one of the big things that Lena Headey is arguing against her agency was that the agency didn't even get her the role.
Right.
She says Taika Waititi approached her directly. So Taika Waititi, you're Taika Waititi, right? You have this idea. Not only do you have an idea for a character, you know who you want to have play it. And you go out and you get her personally. And you set up those shots. You spend days probably shooting, and you shoot those shots. For a director like Taika Waititi to sit back and go, you know what? As great as all that is, the movie just works better if we take it out. Ray, help me out. A guy the Lakers never should have got. He was drafted by the Nuggets, went to the Knicks. Anthony. Carmelo Anthony, right? This is a great example of this. For those of you who are sports fans, I know a lot of you aren't, but like, look at the Denver Nuggets. Carmelo Anthony was their number one player, right? He was great talent. But guess what? He wasn't a right fit for that team. And when they traded Carmelo, when Carmelo was no longer on the Nuggets, guess what? They had years of better success than they ever had with him there. Even though he was a great talent, it just would work. And so, like, Lena Headey's obviously a great talent. I'm sure Taika Waititi wrote a great character. But for him to have the maturity of a director and say, you know what? I can't be married to any of this. The movie just works better if we take it out, even though it's cool stuff. And I wish more directors had that instinct. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I again, I'm sure I would just venture a guess. I'll bet the tone of those scenes with her were probably not in keeping with the tone of the rest of the movie, because you talk about how much funnier it is, how it's sillier. I would imagine, and I'm just saying, I don't know anything about this, but let's say it was Gore the God Butcher's wife or something, and it was a relationship that informed. I'll bet that was played a lot straighter than the rest of the movie, more romantic,
maybe.
more. That's all, and maybe it took away from the Natalie Portman relationship with Chris Hemsworth. I have no clue because I haven't seen the film. I don't even know what it's like, the feeling of the movie. I know nothing about it other than the trailer, so I'm talking out of my ass. But I'll tell you one thing: I bet it was painful for Taika Waititi to call her up and say, "Hey, I know I came to you," but the real question,
especially after they already paid $7 million.
Yeah, but I would think that this is also a real question in Hollywood. You know, agencies want to, if they don't get you a job, and they had nothing to do with you getting paid, they still, because you're their client, expect to take a pound of flesh.
Right.
And I don't necessarily think, I mean, you obviously might have a contract with an agency that specifically states that, but if they're not getting you work, they could, I mean, $500,000 is a big chunk of change.
Yeah, it really is. Anyway, we're going to keep our eye on the situation. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Game of Thrones, Lena Headey was in Thor Love and Thunder. A big enough role to justify a $7 million minimum deal that she got for it, and she was cut out. What do you think maybe she was going to play? What do you think about the fact that she's not there? What do you think about the other cameos, Jeff Goldblum, Peter Dinklage, that aren't in the film either? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there.